What is up, guys? Welcome back to another Wednesday night live mock draft show. We're going to be chilling here. We have a handful of guys in the comments mock drafting with us. We're just doing the ESPN 12-team PPR mock draft here. I'm going to be in pick one tonight. This is technically our 13th straight Wednesday doing it. So I've already gone 1 through 12, and we're back into the top of the order. So we're going to hop into the screen share here. Good evening to everybody. We got Tony in the chat. I think Aiden's in here. I saw Harris is in there. So the usual suspects. Good evening to everybody. This draft will start in a second or two. But I just want to say before we get into the mock draft, if you are a serious fantasy footballer and you want to play in a money league with myself and a handful of people who watch the show, this is basically the listener league. It's kind of just a lot of the people that we've played with in the past. And I'm opening it up. I got one more spot here left. So if you want to play, you guys can email me here at thefellowkgb@gmail.com. Email me there, and I can send you the invite. But I'm looking for like a person that's going to stick around for a while. I think the buy-in is going to be $25 or $30, and we just want to. This will be the second year of this league, and we just want to continue to make sure we have people who are actually going to participate and stay around for a while. So if you're serious, email me at thefellowkgb@gmail.com, and I'll send you an invite. So we're looking for one more person there. And then I did put the Superflex mock draft here for Sleeper. After the ESPN mock draft, we'll do the Sleeper mock here. Looks like people are starting to fill in, which is good. So we'll do that again after this ESPN mock. But we got 30 seconds here. Good evening to Aiden. We got I saw Aiden's pick number 8. I saw Tony pick 2. Harris is in here somewhere, pick 6. And if anyone else is drafting with us tonight, let us know in the comments. But cheers. We're off to another mock draft here. We got preseason games tomorrow night. We're going to see some starters this weekend too. So I'm pretty excited. It's one of my favorite times of the year. And at pick number 1, I'm kind of one of those guys that tend to think that it's going to be really hard for Jamar Chase to repeat as the wide receiver 1. So if you're picking number 1, I don't think you need to take Jamar Chase. I'm going to do it in this mock, but I don't think you have to. I think you could pull one of the running backs, Bijan, Saquon, Gibbs, if you feel it. I think you could pull probably CeeDee Lamb. Those are the guys that I'm thinking of as the 101. But I'm going to take Jamar Chase here, and we'll see what the rest of the first round holds. Fantastic. Let's get some preseason tickets, man. I've always liked preseason games. One, it's because I'm the guy that, I like looking at the depth of in the past, I would go to Packer practices and Packer preseason games. And it's like, I like watching the bottom of the roster to see who's going to be able to make some plays and contribute for the season. So I do enjoy that. I haven't seen Chase in a while in our streams, but I talk with him frequently on X. He is back, I think, for another year in the fantasy league, but I haven't seen him yet. He was really busy during that. He's a big dynasty guy, so I think he's probably going to be crawling back in here pretty soon, looking for redraft advice. But for now, we're moving into the first round here. Tony grabs Bijan, which I honestly think Bijan might be my 101. If I had picked one, I feel pretty good about what Bijan Robinson can do. And then my wide receiver 1's still on the board here. I think CeeDee Lamb is the wide receiver 1 this year over Jamar Chase, over Justin Jefferson. I'm coming around to Justin Jefferson, though, being just a fantastic pick this year because we know he's talented. And I have a feeling, especially with Jordan Addison now officially suspended for 3 games, JJ might just walk into 12 targets per game to start the year. And at that point, JJ McCarthy, the bullets are flying and he's trusting JJ. And it just in 3 weeks, we could develop a chemistry that just can't be stopped the rest of the year. So I'm pretty excited, I think, about JJ. I want a top 6 pick this year because I love all the top 3 running backs and I love the top 3 receivers. The one that I struggle with right now is Christian McCaffrey. I like Malik Neighbors. I still, worry about that toe and the potential quarterback play there. And then you got Puka Nacua, who now has a 37-year-old quarterback getting epidurals on his back. So there are to me, it's a clear top 6, those 3 running backs and those 3 receivers. But after that, man, I'm looking at, I do like Genty. I think he provides some safety. I think Malik, Puka, injury concerns. I'm a little bit nervous about Amon-Ra's knee holding up. I think Brian Thomas was sick today. That's why he's got the questionable there. But there's a lot of ways that you could do your draft if you have pick 7 through 12. So I personally, if I had to choose, I want a top 6 pick, I think, this year. But we're moving into the second round. I really like the second round. I think there's a lot of studs here that still have first round profiles, whether it's Achane. I like Drake London. I like Nico Collins. I am pretty happy with Jonathan Taylor. I don't take AJ Brown a lot, and that could come back to haunt me. But he's got I don't know if you guys saw, but he's got a hamstring thing right now. So we do have to continue to monitor that. I saw Devonta Smith had an amazing day at practice the other day, and he's just getting back to practice himself. But this is a discount on AJ Brown. You're getting a wide receiver 1 here in the middle of the second round. Drake London, he's the thumbnail guy. I was hoping he would crawl back to me at the turn here, but I think Drake London I think he's going to be locked in this year and be a top 5, top 10 receiver. And then Nico, man, if that's kind of my ideal second rounder. It's London, it's Nico, it's Achane. If BTJ falls, I'm cool with it. Otherwise, I do like Jonathan Taylor quite a bit. I also like Josh Jacobs quite a bit in the second round. So we'll see what comes back to me here. Kieran Williams, I do feel better about Kieran Williams with his new contract. I think he's one of the most underrated dynasty players. People just have not given him his credit as a late round pick. And then Ladd McConkey, man, what do we think about the Keenan Allen signing? I'm on the clock here, and this is a no-brainer who I'm going with one of the picks. I think I'm taking Josh Jacobs here without a doubt. Like, he is the one that sticks out to me at the running back position. And then we just have a lot of questions here. T. Higgins, do I want to go Chase and Higgins? Probably not. I don't really want to go Tyreek. I don't really want to go Devontae. I guess I'd probably end up taking a quarterback here. I absolutely love Chase Brown, but I get a little bit nervous about just loading my team with all of these guys from the Bengals. But I do really, really like Chase Brown more than a lot of the other guys here on the board. I always go late QB in these. I'm going to go early QB today, and we're going to go Lamar Jackson. So we got our QB1, Lamar, our running back 1, Josh Jacobs, and we go with Jamar Chase. I really struggled here. I like Jackson Smith and Najigba. He would have been the receiver that I've taken here. But I think we're going to try something a little bit different here and see what we can do. And good evening to Charlene. 49ers are winning big or in the playoffs. Shannon pulls CMC out of the game because of risk of injury. I do expect CMC's workload to be kind of capped. Like they don't. The days of McCaffrey getting 20 plus carries and 5 receptions in a game are probably done. He might have 1 or 2 of those games this year, but I have to think that they're going to want to try and manage his workload and make sure that he's going to be fresh for the playoff run. Because if you haven't looked at the 49ers schedule, like they're going to win a lot of games this year, and they're probably going to win. They're going to find a way to win the NFC West. That's my prediction right now. So Christian McCaffrey, I know he hurt my feelings last year a lot. I never take a player like him in the first round, and the first time I do, he ends up missing the whole year. So I get it. If you're nervous about McCaffrey, I get it. But he is the exact, like, if he hits, he is going to be one of the best picks of the entire draft. And we'll see what happens. I think he's going to be a huge part of the offense. I'm nervous about the injury risk, but I think his ceiling could be RB1 on the season. Let me see what I got here on McMillan. I think it was like in the 130 range, something like that, 130. I think I had him at about 75 receptions, somewhere in that neighborhood. I like Tet McMillan quite a bit. I've got McMillan at 78 catches, 135 targets. So I'm pretty high on McMillan. I have him up here at wide receiver 14, man. I might need to lower those numbers just a little bit. I might be too high on McMillan here, but for where he's being drafted, I think he presents a fantastic value. He's probably going to end up performing as a wide receiver 2 for you. I think he's a top 20 receiver if he does stay healthy all year. And the fact that you can get him, I mean, he's still on the board here, right? He's all the way down here at pick 65. He's one of the best picks because he's got a pretty unknown ceiling, but that ceiling is pretty sexy. And I think, just based on the players on the list here, he's the clear ceiling pick at that point. So I do like McMillan quite a bit there, Tony. I did have a share of Keenan Allen in Dynasty, and I think I cut him. I might have picked up Jerome Ford or something else just out of just stashing running backs. But I do think Keenan Allen provides a little bit of value. He's not really a guy that I'm super excited about, but someone's going to draft him in a redraft league. Someone's going to draft him in best ball. It is what it is. But yeah, BTJ, no concerns today. And yeah, I don't know if you saw it, but they gave out a list of like his snaps today, which I thought was really nice. They said how many defensive snaps, how many offensive snaps, which was good to see. He's going to play a lot on both sides of the ball, so that's really good to see. We're on the clock here. We're not taking – I kind of like James Conner here, honestly. The receivers intrigue me a little bit here. I do get a little Zay Flowers action, but I'm just going to plug in James Conner, who I think is, when he's healthy, he's a guy that just gets the ball. And he was a league winner down the stretch last year, 22, 30, 26 in the fantasy playoffs. A league winner down the stretch. I think DJ Moore's fine. Worthy is a guy that I like. I kind of like DeAndre Swift. I think Zay Flowers here, though, a little bit of stack. I could look for a stack. I'm going to take a share of Xavier Worthy, who I think we still haven't seen that Rashee Rice suspension, but I have a feeling that he's going to get hit with something soon. We just saw Addison's suspension come in. And now I'm tying myself to some pretty good offenses. I have a Raven, a Packer. Cardinals will be middle. We have a Bengal, obviously, in Chase, and then we have a Chief here. So I'm kind of sticking to some good top-end teams, which feels pretty good so far. And I'm not going to get Tet McMillan. I do think McMillan would have been a good pick here had I looked a little farther down the line. Woody Marks is interesting. I just want to say that he's probably going to be the passing down back there. I don't think he's a guy that's going to ever get 20 touches in a game, but I do think as a change of pace back, getting, he might be like a Justice Hill type where he can get, 5 to 8 carries in a game and then still rack up those 4, 5, 6 catches. I think that's the plan for Woody Marks. I did see Dameon Pierce came back to practice today. So right now my gut is telling me Dameon Pierce starts week 1 for the Houston Texans. Nick Chubb, probably the backup. And Woody Marks more of a third down. And I don't know if Ogun Bawali's still there, but I kind of just want to stay away from the Houston backfield right now. Oh, my bad. Yeah, Hunter Long's interesting. I also did. I thought I saw a lot of Brenton Strange stuff on the timeline today. I think I'm still putting my money on Brenton Strange to be the tight end to own there. But I remember Hunter Long now. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what to do with James Cook. Did he get drafted yet? I mean, Aiden took him at 32. I'm not concerned yet. James Cook could sign on September 2nd and be ready to go for week 1, and we're not going to care. So we still have about 4 weeks for this to get figured out. So as you're mocking, if you like James Cook, I'm not opposed to taking James Cook here. And I was just looking before the show. They tweeted something out. The NFL teams cannot supply the smelling salts, but the players can get their own, basically is what I heard. So they're not banned, but the NFL teams just can't distribute them is what I think the new rule is. But we'll see. Yeah, otherwise I was going to have to lower my George Kittle points. George Kittle's always running hot off them salts. And hey, there's still time, guys. If you want to join the sleeper mock here, I did post the link here at the top of the comment section, Superflex mock on sleeper. Just copy and paste that link if you want to play with us. And we'll start that shortly after this ESPN mock. And of course, Tony leaves me Tet McMillan. What a guy. Thanks, dude. All right, we'll take our share of Tet McMillan for the Carolina Panthers. And now there's just a lot of guys. Like, I'm starting to get nervous about my take on Travion Henderson, where at this point I'm kind of willing to just put him on my bench and see what happens. I think he's going to be a receiving weapon. He's not going to get the volume, but he could just be really, really good on his touches, and that does excite me. So I'm kind of coming around to Mr. Travion Henderson being a good pick here, and I'm going to do it. It's the first time I clicked him, guys, in a mock draft here. It's the first time I clicked him. I wanted to take Mark Andrews there because I think he's going to be a top 5 tight end this year, but I'll put a running back on my bench. He's going to be James Conner's backup at some point, and maybe a replacement at some point here, but I'm not afraid to admit that I may have been. I don't think I'm wrong on Travion Henderson. I think I'm going to be correct on his profile, where at best, we're getting 10 carries, 3, 4, 5 catches a game, but that plays. That's still a low end RB2 play. It's just I don't see a huge ceiling on him unless Ramondre gets hurt. So that could be the case. We'll put him on the bench though. And yeah, Stafford's back is not looking good, guys. So today was the first day where I finally went to my projections and I had to dock Stafford some numbers. I moved some to Jimmy Garoppolo. I had to dock Puka, Devontae, a couple other players on the Rams. I finally had to dock some Rams players just because the probability that he plays 16, 17 games is it's probably not great. I think I've got him in the 14 game range right now. I mean, one good hit to that back area, and I know he's tough, but you have to plan for him to miss a couple games at this point. So Stafford back is definitely something we're going to monitor here. And yeah, Stephon Diggs, man, I think it's becoming more and more real that like the Patriots offense might be good. Like they want to run the ball clearly, but the fact that Stephon Diggs is out here looking like he never tore his ACL is pretty impressive. And then it just seems like every other day out of Patriots camp, Aiden, I'm seeing it's Travion Henderson day, it's Demario Douglas day, it's Kyle Williams day, it's Kayshon Boutte making plays, it's all these guys just making plays. And I've even seen Jalen Polk making plays. And then there's one more guy deeper down on the radar there, maybe Javon Baker. So I kind of like what I'm seeing out of Patriots camp right now. And yeah, that's another player there that I've had to bump up over the last couple of days because Cam Skattebo, man, he was a guy that we were high on. And now it sounds like he had a hamstring injury. He re-aggravated that hamstring injury because he came back too soon. And now he's probably just not going to be a factor early in the season. He might be a guy that can come on late, but I think for right now, the team, they have no reason putting him back out there to re-injure that hamstring again. So I think as far as the offensive install, this is Tyrone Tracy's offense. And then I still think Devin Singletary is going to be the RB2 to start the year. And we'll see if Skattebo can kind of crawl his way back up the depth chart. But for right now, I think Tyrone Tracy, when I redid my projections, Tracy favored pretty well. And I think he's a strong RB2 pick for us this season. And yeah, we like Pop Douglas quite a bit. We're on the clock here. I don't know if I see a tight end that I want to reach for here. I do like me some Tucker Kraft, but I think I can run it empty a little bit here on tight end, if you will. I still like Ramondre. I think J.K. Dobbins is an interesting pick, but I'm gonna take a guy here that I'm starting to. I think he might be the receiver to own in San Francisco. I didn't get Kittle. If you don't get George Kittle on your team, I think you have to take a stand on the 49ers receivers, whether it's Juwan Jennings or Ricky Pearsall. But the last couple of days, Juwan Jennings hasn't practiced for like a week. It sounds like it's been the Ricky Pearsall show, who's just been open, intermediate, and deep all day. But we're back on the clock here. Man, I'm going to take both. This is an interesting way to do it. I got Travion and Ramondre. We're going to see how that backfield goes. I think at one point throughout the season, I'm going to have access to at least a startable running back too. If the Patriots are favored to win in a game, maybe I play Ramondre that week, at the flex. If they're playing the Ravens and they're going to get clocked, maybe I play Travion in the flex. Something like that could work. So I like this depth of this team. I got Lamar Jackson at QB, Josh Jacobs, James Conner to start at my running backs. My backup running backs are Travion and Ramondre. My wide receivers, Jamar Chase, Xavier Worthy, Tet McMillan, and Ricky Pearsall. Yeah, it's handcuffing season, but I don't consider this a handcuff though. I think Travion and Ramondre are kind of co-starters, not co-starters. I think Ramondre is going to get enough work as the ball carrier, and Travion's going to get some carries, but he's going to be the primary passing down back and probably get some 2-minute drill stuff. So it's more of a 1A 1B to me. Whereas like if I want a true handcuff, then we're talking, I don't know, we're talking Tyler Algier, Trey Benson, that kind of stuff. I don't remember Ramondre having fumbling problems the first 2-3 years of his career. And if I looked at the numbers correctly, he only had a couple fumbles early last year. So to me, fumbles are kind of like drops. It's one of those things that are easily corrected, and I'm not going to be too concerned about it. But again, I think I'm reading this correctly, where Ramondre is going to get the carries on first and second down, and I'm expecting Travion to come in when they need him to catch passes and then be a change of pace back. And another fumble guy. You have to remember too, Tyrone Tracy is a former wide receiver. He's still learning the running back position, so we don't know how good he can be yet. But again, I tend to think that those fundamentals of football can be improved upon, especially when you have young players doing this. I'm not gonna get hung up on fumbles and drops. Yeah, I can understand. And this isn't normally something that I do here. I don't normally. It's a mock. We're trying different things. I kind of like the idea of having both on the same team here because I think one of them will be used. Oh wow, that's impressive if that is true. And good evening to Mr. Magic. This one's not close. I'm curious what the other guys think here. Garrett Wilson or Ladd McConkey. To me, it's not close. I'm going with Ladd McConkey all day, every day. And yeah, I'm getting hit by the fumble police tonight, guys. I'm getting hit. But hey, we got 24 people in the chat with us tonight. Don't forget to like the video. That helps me out a ton. And subscribe if you guys are new. And because we have 24 people in here, we need more people to fill out our Superflex mock draft on Sleeper. If you guys scroll up to the top of the comments, it's the second comment in the list. Join our Sleeper mock draft, and we will we'll start this up shortly after this video. But I'm on the clock here. I got 10 seconds to do the job. Oh my goodness. I panicked. I'm going to take Jerome Ford, who let's talk about the Browns running backs here. I think it's pretty clear that Quinshon Judkins is probably not going to be a thing, at least to start the year. So I'm coming around to Jerome Ford being a good pick at this point. I want to see if our other running back got taken yet. I'm going to take a chance here. Yeah, I'm going to take both Cleveland backs here, Dylan Sampson and Jerome Ford. So we're taking two swings at the Patriots and the Cleveland Browns, two kind of question mark backfields, and we'll see what happens. I tend to think Quinshon Judkins just might not play this year. And if he does get his legal stuff situated, he's missed all of training camp, which is not super exciting. And I see Brett's here is talking about the Texans back, but that's another ambiguous backfield right now. So I kind of like putting some bullets here on the two Browns guys. I think Ford's going to catch passes, and he could lead the team in carries. Sampson's going to be the guy that I think, he's going to be RB2 to start week 1. But if he makes some big plays and he starts to earn more reps, I'm not going to be surprised. So we're just kind of hoarding some backfields here, and we're completely punting on tight end. But we got the Texans. I can't see the Texans having a successful running back room this year. My gut says Joe Mixon's not going to start week 1. He might even be on the PUP list to start the year. I did see Dameon Pierce was back at practice, which is good. If Pierce stays healthy, Pierce will be the starting running back week 1. I do not think this team is going to give Nick Chubb the start week 1. Nick Chubb is just he's your short yardage back at this point. He's not going to be able to get a bunch of carries. He has no explosiveness left. And Charlene, also their offensive line is probably not in the top half of the league. I think they're probably, I don't know, maybe 20, 25 and somewhere in that range. Not the best offensive line. So to me, when I think about the Texans, and you guys can do this exercise with it for yourself, I kind of just go through each team in my head and say, Houston Texans, who do I want from this team? It's Nico Collins. I don't really need any of the other pieces there. I think Nico Collins is the identity of the offense. So I kind of want to just start thinking in terms of that, like who's going to be the guy for this offense. Texans, not super into it. I think the defense will be good, but I think they're going to mix backs, man. I think they're going to mix Dameon Pierce, Nick Chubb. When Joe Mixon gets on the field, what's that look like? Is Woody Marks going to catch passes? I think that's going to be a pretty ugly committee. Luther Burden apparently has looked pretty good. It took him a little while to get on the field, but he is looking like the slot guy, which, Amon-Ra St. Brown's been the slot guy for Ben Johnson in the past, which could be pretty nice. I'm kind of open to it. I don't know where did Luther Burden go in our draft here? Has he been picked yet? I mean, at this point of the draft, I think he's a good guy to end your draft on. Put him on the end of your bench. I think there's a lot of mouths to feed, whether it's Odunze, DJ Moore, Loveland. You got Burden, you got DeAndre Swift. But I think at some point this year, we could see Luther Burden kind of command more targets. But for now, he's just the end of the bench guy in redraft. I do like him in best ball, however. Roshan, Sanders, Rico, half PPR. I think I still want Rico Dowdle there. I think he's the best player of the three. And if anything happens to Chuba, he's going to be the clear lead back. And Sanders, he's in a weird committee with Dallas. I don't think he's that good anymore. And it seems like they're giving Kyle Monangai every chance to win that job over there as the RB2. I'm going to grab the best tight end available. And to me, he's a top 10 fantasy tight end. And it sounds like he's been the number one target for Jaden Daniels in camp so far. It's Zach Ertz. He's like the easiest guy to wait for in your draft. I have no problem waiting for Mr. Ertz here. And then just looking around real quick here, any more receivers? Kyle Williams, Rashad, I can grab Luther Burden. There's a lot of guys that I like deep here, but I kind of want to just keep taking some shots on the running back spot. I don't have a Dolphin yet, so I'm just going to put Jalen Wright on the bench, who I think could be getting a nice spot there as RB2. But yeah, I'm going to rank these as Rico, Roshan, Sanders. And I tend to agree. I think CJ Stroud, flashback to last year, just 12 months ago, guys, CJ Stroud was like QB 5, 6, 7 off the board. And yeah, he was throwing to Stephon Diggs, Nico Collins, Tank Dell, and Dalton Schultz. It's the same kind of cast. I could argue it might even be better this year. You got Nico, you got the rookie that they took, Jaden Higgins, and you have Christian Kirk. And then they brought in another rookie, Jalen Noel. So I don't know. I think Stroud in the passing game is where you want to be in Houston. I think if you close your eyes and I say Nico Collins' final stat line at the end of the season, he caught 90 balls, 150 targets, he caught 1,492 yards, and he caught 12 touchdowns. That's wide receiver one worthy. If Nico stays healthy, man, he's going to be a hell of a pick. The worst offensive line. Fantastic. That's a good one. Ooh, Chase Brown over Jacobs and Bucky. I think those are all three of those guys are top 10 backs, and a lot of it has to do with preference. I think if you want the guy that's going to be the most consistent every week, that's going to be Josh Jacobs, because he's going to get 20 touches a week. He's going to get – they don't really have a competent RB2 there in Green Bay, and I think Josh Jacobs is probably the safest option. But Bucky Irving, man, we don't know what his ceiling looks like. We know he's pretty talented. But we got to see what it looks like for a whole season. I do worry about Tampa Bay, though. They lost Tristan Wirfs, their starting left tackle, for a little bit. Liam Cohen is gone, so I think there's a couple questions there just with the system around Bucky. I think he might be the most talented guy, but I think Jacobs is a little bit safer than Bucky. And then to me, man, I'm getting pretty excited about Chase Brown. You have Zach Moss leaving town. You got a late rookie pick there. You have an old Samaje Perine. I think Chase Brown just might be – you close your eyes and you look and you're like, is that Austin Eckler? No, it's Chase Brown. I think there's some Austin Eckler upside to a Chase Brown here. What do we got here? I got the final couple picks here. I don't know what I want. I kind of want to grab one more receiver just to feel good about what we're doing. Nobody's giving Trey Harris a chance anymore. But hey, I'm gonna grab another Patriot. This is a Patriots night. DeMario Pop Douglas there. And then defensively, I don't know. I really don't feel all that great, but I'm going to keep taking my 49ers defense, and then we'll clock out here with a kicker. And yeah, I think we're going to have to see the Texans evolve, and it's going to have to be on Stroud's shoulders. And we're starting to fill out this sleeper draft, so it's looking pretty good. We got a few more spots left in here, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 total guys in here. Let's see if we can get a couple more. Jordan Mason's one of those guys that I'm pretty bullish on this year. I think he's got league winning upside, in the 8th, 9th round of your drafts. Aaron Jones misses any game, like we're all ranking Jordan Mason probably as a top 10, top 12 fantasy back that week. And as long as Jordan Mason's healthy, it's going to take away points from Aaron Jones. And yeah, I'm in on Kyle Williams. I think he's a rookie pick this late. That feels pretty good as your last guy. Yeah, see, everybody was in on Stroud last year. I'm pretty excited about Jaden Higgins. I got a 1 dynasty share. And yeah, I did see some sack numbers going around. Caleb, I'm pretty nervous about the Chicago Bears, guys. And I am a Packer fan, but I'm also a pretty realistic thinker of everything. And I am nervous about this Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams marriage. Caleb likes to color outside the lines, and Ben Johnson wants his Jared Goff. He wants his guy to just do what the frick is called. And I don't know if that is going to be what Caleb Williams can do. So a little bit nervous there. Kicker, I'm going to go, we'll go Packers kicker. It sounds like he's been dinging kicks here. So pretty fun draft. I loaded up on running backs in this one, but I'm pretty happy with this. I think we're kind of covered at all the positions. I went empty on tight end. And to me, Zach Ertz is the tight end to wait for. And again, no Terry McLaurin. It does sound like Debo's having a good camp too, but it does look like Zach Ertz has kind of been the guy all camp so far. Is that Ray McLeod? I'm open to DJ Moore being a good pick. I think he could be the best receiver on that offense. I do struggle though, because I also like all the talents there. But I don't know. I think DJ Moore probably as my wide receiver 3 flex feels pretty good. I don't know if I want to draft him as my wide receiver 2. I think that could leave some room for a little bit of frustration. But for sure, I think he can be a top 20, top 25 receiver this year. But hey, we are going to fire up this Superflex mock draft here. If there's anybody else that wants to get in here, that was the last chance to do it. We got 27 people in here right now. So anyone wants to do it, check the link out here. I'm going to put it back down here one more time for you guys and check it out. I want to see where I ended up ranking these Bears receivers. I kind of think the Bears could go through some pretty big ups and downs. The one thing going for the Bears that I think not a lot of people are talking about is when you go look at their depth chart, like they just retooled the offensive line, especially the interior. I think they bought a center and 2 guards in free agency this year. So I do expect the sacks to come down. I think that could help Caleb Williams quite a bit. And there could be a couple other things. But we're going to get fired up here, guys. All right, we got half filled. I think that's better than what we usually do. We're doing a 12-team Superflex. This is 1 QB, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, a tight end, 2 flex, and 1 Superflex spot, and a handful of bench pieces here. No kickers, no defenses, and let's take it away. I know Aiden's prepping for his big Superflex draft. I think it's next weekend. I just found out my draft pick here, so I'm going to chill at pick 12 and see what happens. The one thing about Sleeper that I wish they could figure out is how to make it full PPR, because I'm just looking at the projected points, and when I do the settings, you can't do Superflex with full PPR. So I tend to still think that the non-QBs are a good pick early on the board. If I can't get a top 5 QB, I kind of want one of those other skill players. And to me, it's a pretty clear tier. It's these 3 quarterbacks: Josh Allen, Jaden Daniels, Lamar, Burrow, and Jalen Hurts. And then to me, it's a pretty big drop off to the next group of QBs. I don't really want to pull Pat Mahomes at my spot. And then honestly, after that, you know, whether it's Mahomes, Knicks, Mayfield, Herbert, Murray, Caleb Williams, Brock Purdy, Drake May, they're all kind of like the same guy for me. Whereas I think I want to wait and see what comes back to me for quarterback at rounds 3 and 4. So we didn't get a top 5 QB. Computer snags Brock Bowers here. They're giving me Saquon Barkley, Genty, Malik. I mean, at this point, I kind of have to take Saquon Barkley here. This is pretty stupid. Genty, Malik, Puka. I don't really want to start running back, but this does excite me quite a bit, and I haven't seen it done. So we're going to take a swing here, because if this works and I have Saquon Barkley and a healthy Christian McCaffrey, I think that could be a really exciting start. Yeah, for sure, Aiden. You get Jahmyr Gibbs here, which I think that's what you wanted. I know you've been kind of debating on Jalen Hurts here, but to me, getting a Jahmyr Gibbs type, man, you're going to get access to one of the best players in the league. Whereas, you know, Hurts can finish as the QB1. He tends to get hurt sometimes and miss a couple games. Whereas I don't know if we've seen the ceiling yet from Jahmyr Gibbs. It sounds like he's going to be more involved as a receiver this year. So I think, to me, if I'm 107, Jahmyr Gibbs would be the pick. I'm probably taking Jahmyr Gibbs over Justin Jefferson. I think Bijan would be a good consolation there. And then you get your Brian Thomas. So you're off to a well-balanced start of Gibbs and Brian Thomas Jr. You could have maybe taken Nico Collins or Drake London, but I know you're a Jags guy, so I'm not gonna be like, why'd you take Brian Thomas Jr.? I think he's fantastic too. So good start to the draft. And now you can think about the quarterbacks, because to me, we're at that point of the draft where all these quarterbacks, you know, all the way down to CJ Stroud, Dak, Jordan Love, like, I think this whole group of guys that are available here, I can see any one of these guys finishing as QB 6, 7, 8, 9, somewhere in the top 10. So it's really just about waiting and being patient, I think, in Superflex. If you can get a top 5 QB, do it. But otherwise, you got to play the patience game. And next Friday, okay. 40-yard bonus, okay. So Jefferson, Gibbs, I think CeeDee Lamb can make some big plays. I think Brian Thomas Jr. is one of those 40-yard guys for me. Probably Nico. Those are all good guys to look at here. Didn't Purdy get paid? I'm pretty sure Brock Purdy got the bag. I think Purdy got paid. 5-year, $265. At this point, I don't know if you need to take a QB here, Aiden. If you want, yeah. So you take T. Higgins, you're getting that 40-yard point bonus. I think that's fine. Because again, none of these quarterbacks really stick out amongst each other here. I might even pass quarterback here at my turn yet. And good evening to Matt Lee Bame, drafting in the 2-hole tonight. Collecting is Josh Allen, Drake London, and Ladd McConkey. That's a pretty sweet start. Charlene with the Brees. What about Brees Hall? Brees Hall is probably not going to get paid by the Jets. I would be shocked if he's on the Jets next year. I'm going to get to this question in a second there, Mr. Gaming. I'm going to look at the board here and see what sticks out to me. I did not want to go super running back heavy. I did not. But I'm going to take Chase Brown, and then we're going to lock down one QB. I think the biggest winner from the Keenan Allen news, and it hurt my heart because I had to lower a little bit of lad numbers. I had to lower QJ. I had to lower Trey Harris. I had to lower the tight ends. I had to lower Keandre Lambert-Smith. I had to lower everybody just a little bit. But the one guy that I got to bump up was Justin Herbert. Herbert, to me, could be your QB 5, 6, 7 if they're running hot on touchdowns. I really like that Amari and Hampton pick there. But to me, Herbert's one of the best priced QBs in the entire draft right now. I'll take a quarterback here in the 4th round and see how it comes back on. But let's get to this question here by Mr. Frozen Gaming. In a 12-team, 2-keeper league, winning the ship, congrats. My keepers are Jamar and Saquon. Should I run it back and try to repeat, or should I build for the future and trade Saquon for Genty? I mean, I think there's room to win with Genty this year. We have to look at Saquon Barkley as a guy where his numbers are going to come down this year. And for sure in the yards department, he's not going to rush for 2K yards. If he does, that's quite the accomplishment. I think I'm willing to bet against that happening. But I think the downgrade for just for even a season from Saquon to Genty, you're still going to be competitive because I still think Genty's a top 5 back. And then it just sets you up really nicely to continue your reign on your league here. So I'm curious what everybody else thinks on this one. I think I'm fine with trading Saquon for Genty straight up because one, I don't think it's that big of a loss this season. And just the future outlook, man, you're gaining another 4 or 5 years of a stud running back. And I kind of think the Raiders might be pretty competitive this year. I kind of like what they've done this offseason. So I'm willing to try the Genty trade. I'm curious what other people think in the chat. The only time I'll take a quarterback early is if I'm getting one of these top 5 guys. And even then, I still don't feel good about it. This is probably my 5th or 6th year playing Superflex. And I've never understood the super early QB stuff because you're going to continue to get value on quarterbacks late. So I don't get it. I like to be patient and wait for the right ones to come to me. Where would Brees end up? I mean, if I could pick where to put Brees Hall on a team right now, it'd be the Houston Texans. All of a sudden, we're cooking over there. That's like the number 1 team that I think could use a massive upgrade. Could you imagine Brees Hall over in Kansas City, though? Holy smokes, that could be pretty cool. You guys are going to give me Jordan Love here as my QB2. I'm going to take that. I think that feels pretty good to me. I need some receivers, though, now. You guys seem to like DJ Moore, Devonta Smith, DK Metcalf, Xavier Worthy, Zay Flowers. I really do like all of these guys here. I'm not really in on the running backs right now. Tight end, Hawkinson, Kelsey, Warren. I don't really know if I see the value there. So I'm just going to collect a receiver here, and I'm going to go DK Metcalf. I just think I feel a little bit stronger about DK Metcalf than some of these other guys because he is he's the only receiver on his team. They do have a bunch of tight ends. But I think for me, I can't be too picky. I'm just going to leave DK Metcalf out there, and hopefully Rodgers and him can figure it out. But yeah, I think Brees Hall, man, I could totally see him in Houston next year. I could see him maybe it's hard to think about the top of my head. I don't think the Saints are going to pay a guy, but they'll definitely need a running back. Maybe Buffalo pays for him. I don't know. That could be kind of fun. There's a lot of question, but maybe Jacksonville goes and buys the running backs. I'm not sure. How do I rank QB 6 through 10? So we have our clear top 5, right? I think for me, you have this huge kind of group where, yeah, Mahomes is in there. I would probably still rank Mahomes 6 just for the safety play of it. But to me, the next guys, I think it's Herbert. I think it's Dak Prescott. I think it's Bo Nix. I think it's Jordan Love and Baker Mayfield. I think that's the group that I'm looking for. I like Kyler Murray. He's just not developing as a passer like I thought he would. Whereas I think Mahomes still has that top 5 potential. I think Baker Mayfield still has that top 5 potential. Herbert, Love, Prescott, these guys all have that, especially this group of Herbert, Love, and Prescott. They all have that 4,000 plus yard passing potential, 30 plus touchdowns. And then they do run the ball a little bit, more so in Herbert's case. But for Murray, I don't see the passing numbers going bananas enough, and I just don't see the rushing numbers going crazy enough. And I feel really good about Herbert in the Chargers offense this year. I think they have a ton of weapons. Matt Bain would run it back with Saquon. I don't know, dude. They got Tom Brady over there, though. They got Tom Brady now. $10-man start 7 format. Would you try and get a top 2 QB? Is it Superflex? I'm on the clock here. I kind of want to keep taking I kind of want to keep taking wide receivers. There's still quarterbacks on the board here, so everyone's kind of being shy. I'm going to take Jalen Waddle, have you guys seen the shit coming out of Miami? Like, I think Tyreek Hill's doing his best Antonio Brown impression. But I'll grab my guy Mark Andrews here and kind of fill up my starting lineup. I still need one more flex spot here, but I am feeling pretty good about what we got on the board. A 10-man start. So I think in a 10-man, it does pay to – in a 10-man, I kind of do want one of those top-end quarterbacks. If I don't get Lamar or Josh Allen, I'm probably okay with just saying, okay, I'll wait for that tier of the Herberts and the Prescotts and the Bo Nixes and things like that. So I do think you're probably onto something there. I think I want a top quarterback in a smaller format. I don't know, man. I don't think so. Man. To me, I'm always going to be fluid with my kickers and defenses. I'd rather take those middling running backs, those backup running backs, and those third receivers that have, especially rookie receivers late and younger players. I want to be filling my spot with lottery tickets, not defenses. I do think Genty, if everything breaks right for him, like he could be the RB1 next year. I think it's probably still likely that he's behind Bijan and Jahmyr Gibbs, but a mid first round pick next year certainly sounds likely. And I think there's a lot of risk with Barkley this year yet too. The fact is, he could still run for 1,800 yards and be a stud. But I don't see the high end RB1 finish for him this year. I'm kind of coming around to DK Metcalf, man. He looks good. It sounds like really there's nobody else to throw the ball to. There's a lot of tight end action, but Metcalf could just find his way to 6-7 catches a game as Rodgers just kind of locks into him. And maybe this is the season Metcalf catch. We've seen Rodgers just really throw a lot of touchdowns to the same guy in the years past. So this could just be a big touchdown season for Metcalf. I think in my situation where I can't be too picky on who's my receiver, I'll just leave Metcalf out there all the time. I don't think it's possible. I think the shift from the O'Connell offense where you're throwing to Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, and Aaron Jones, and it's still a serviceable offense, man. You're getting Jackson Smith, you're getting Cooper Kupp, you're getting Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet. Like there's enough to go around there, but I think this overall skill set around him is a downgrade. And then I do think there's a chance that just the offense is not as friendly as it would be. I'm on the clock here. I'm going to grab my favorite rookie receiver in Emeka Egbuka. And I kind of do need more receivers. I'm not going to grab a QB3. I like my top 3 running backs still here, so I think we're going to kind of punt on that spot. And we're just going to fill it out here. We're going to grab 2 rookie wide receivers. We'll grab Matthew Golden, see if he can make our spot here with Jordan Love, and we have some fun doing that. Yeah, I don't see Darnold being as good as last. I mean, he was QB 7 or 8 last year. There's just no way. I think he's going to a team that wants to run the ball a little bit more than the Vikings too. I think he's a fine quarterback too, but definitely not a top 10, top 12 quarterback. Trey Lance, baby. Yeah, I think I agree here with Brett. The smaller the league, I think I want a shorter list of players to choose from. I want to get a top 5 player kind of at each position. And good evening to Nathan. Which side are you taking in a half PPR redraft? Amon-Ra, Connor, and Mixon, or CD? Whew. I think I take the Amon-Ra, Connor, and Mixon side. Man, I think I take the Amon-Ra, James Conner side because those are two pretty good starters. And if you do get anything out of Joe Mixon, I think that's a bonus. I know CeeDee Lamb is my wide receiver 1 for this season, and I feel really good about what he's going to do. But you're still getting Amon-Ra, he's a top 5 player when he's healthy. So you're downgrading a little bit at receiver by a few points per game, but then you're plugging in James Conner, who when healthy, he is the horse of that offense. So I think it does hurt to lose a CeeDee Lamb, but you're getting a pretty damn good receiver in his place, and then you're gaining a top running back. Who I know he's injury prone, whatever, but he plays 13 games a season. You're going to want him for those 13 games. So thank you for the question there, Nathan. I think Kelsey's still not going to be a great player, but I think he's going to catch more touchdowns this year. I think he only caught like maybe 3 touchdowns last year. So I think there's room for him to kind of do what he did last year still and be somewhat ineffective with his touches, but I expect touchdowns to increase. I think he's going to have more fun this season, maybe potentially knowing it is his last year. I think that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and grab, man, there's some good players here on the board here. I'm gonna grab Tank Bigsby, who I think is the lead back here for the Jags. I have DK, Jalen, Amika, and 2 rookie receivers. I might take a breather here on that position, and I'm gonna cash out. I think I'm gonna grab Anthony Richardson. I just can't quit him in a Superflex league, man. I think he is a fantastic player to just have on your bench just in case you need it. But yeah, I'm not gonna say Kelsey's gonna go with a bang. He could go out with a pop though, maybe a pop. You know, maybe it's like a fountain, firework fountain. Top 4 QB. That's a really good thought there, Charlene. I think that's pretty key. We've always known Pete Carroll to want to ground and pound, and he's going to run the ball more than he thinks he should. So I think Genty, man, you're getting a 300 touch back. It feels pretty good. Let's take a look at Aiden's team and see how he's been doing. He's got the Jahmyr Gibbs, Bijan Higgins start. He comes back with James Cook. I saw him click on James Cook earlier. If everything's fine and James Cook does get his contract extension, I think he's going to be a fine pick. You know, if it were me and say like Amarian Hampton's there, I'm probably taking Amarian Hampton. I do like your thinking though, because these receivers like Rashi, Tyreek, McLaurin, Mike Evans, none of those guys sound all that great right now. So I am kind of interested in what you did here with James Cook. I think just getting Purdy and Justin Fields, you know, you kind of caught a nice little section of the draft to grab your 2 quarterbacks. I'm curious if you would have wanted to get Trevor Lawrence if he fell. You could go fishing for Lawrence. But I think Purdy Fields makes a lot of sense here to grab your quarterbacks the when you did it. The Zay Flowers and Jerry Jeudy value, though, that's really dang good value for your wide receivers 3 and 4. So you got your starting lineup pretty much filled. You take Scatabo, you put him in your back pocket for later. I think I'm still taking – it would have been nice to get Tyrone Tracy there if you could. But I think Scatabo, you might have to be very patient with Scatabo. I think I'd rather have Warren on my team. Jaden Reed, another nice bullet for your bench. I think Pittman's going to be fine, especially at this point of the draft. I think he's fine. And then Luther Burden here. So you're just kind of loading. What I like here is you don't need Scatabo. He's just the bench back. You don't need Reed, Pittman, Burden. These are just kind of names that you trust, and maybe something happens of Burden down the line here. So I think this is all setting up pretty good. And then Garendo, kind of a lottery ticket type back. If Christian McCaffrey goes down, I think that's a good pick there. And good evening to Matthew Bain. Get back to work. You need to work. I think so. Earlier in my mock, Mr. Magic, I took Lamar Jackson at the 301. And in my rankings, I kind of have them as consensus top 30 picks, which would put you right in the middle of the 3rd round. So to me, there's kind of a point where the running backs dry up. It's kind of after, to me, it's kind of after Jonathan Taylor. I kind of group Chase Brown up here with that. But after those running backs go, and kind of after JSN, that's especially there, like that's kind of the cutoff to me. So if I can, you know, land a quarterback before this cutoff, I think it's a pretty good move. Because then everything else in the rounds 4 or 5, they all kind of feel the same to me. So I'm trying to get a quarterback early before this cutoff happens. And we're on the clock here. I got to make a pick. Holy smokes! We'll just shout out Demario Douglas one more time tonight. Y'all giving me Dylan Sampson, baby. We'll put him on the bench and see what happens. Nathan says, are you concerned at all about the fact that Mac Jones targeted BTJ a lot more than T-Law, especially with the Hunter edition? I'm really not. If you go back and look at some of the game logs, and you have to remember, Brian Thomas Jr. and Trevor Lawrence, when they were all healthy, you still had Christian Kirk in the mix. You still had Gabe Davis out there a little bit. I think the emergence of Brian Thomas Jr., a lot of it had to do with Trevor Lawrence having success with him. And then I think throughout the year, you also have to remember they fired their coach throughout the year. There's just a lot of shit going on. Eventually, they figured out we got to just throw to Brian Thomas Jr. 10, 12 times a game. It kind of took a little bit of incompetence from the coaching. You saw Trevor Lawrence start to trust him more and more as the year went on. And I think the fact that Mac Jones had that much success with him should excite you, because we would agree that Trevor Lawrence is a better quarterback than Mac Jones. So I think we're just scratching the surface with Brian Thomas Jr. I'm not overly concerned that Mac had good numbers with BTJ and Trevor Lawrence did a little bit. BTJ, sometimes it takes receivers a little bit time to get going and to get the trust of the offensive coordinator and things like that. And I think it just got to a point where they just couldn't ignore it anymore. Yeah, we'll look at Harris's team here. I'm going to be up to pick here, and then I'll make my picks, and then we'll look at your stuff. Yeah, dude, I looked back at one of my drafts last year. Richardson went off in the first round of my Superflex as like QB5. I think people are forgetting how good of a rusher he is. And, if he can just learn to throw the ball, man, we're going to be cooking. Nobody wants some of these tight ends, and that's fine. I got my Mark Andrews. I'm fine with that. There's some sleeper receivers down here. I don't know what to do with that. Man, you guys really picked this apart. Yucky yucks. I'm just going to grab Romeo Doubs. Is there a tight end worth a damn this late? Nobody wants Matthew Stafford. Like, okay, fine. I'll put him on the bench. But we're going to review Harris's team real quick here. CeeDee Lamb, Ashton Genty. I think that's a really sweet start. You get JSN and George Kittle there. I think those are the picks that I would like. Harris's team so far, those first 4 rounds, that's probably what I would have done in your spot. You get Travis Hunter, Devonta Smith. We're no quarterback yet. Aaron Jones, Brian Robinson. These are not my favorite picks, but I think at this point, you did a good job plugging in your running back 2 spot. I think between Jones, B-Rob, Warren, Stevenson, you're going to figure that RB2 spot out. You're going to have some flex consideration there. So I like the running back depth, and I do think you're pretty good at the receiver positions up here. Darnell Mooney, I'm fine with on the bench. Tajay Spears, I'm fine with on the bench. Tillman, I'm fine with on the bench. And then you get a Geno, Rodgers, Shedeur Sanders trio here on the end. Obviously, it's not the most ideal group. I think I would like it more if Geno and Rodgers were your QB 2 and 3. I think I maybe would have taken out maybe Tajay Spears or something, and maybe Darnell Mooney and grab a Richardson or a Tua a round earlier just to lock in one more guy. I think you're going to be waiting all year for Shedeur Sanders to get on the field, so I don't really like taking him. Matthew Stafford would have been fine if I let him through, but I would. You're playing it empty here on QB. I think I would cross Shedeur off the list. I'd rather that be another position player here, and then maybe just look. Instead of Ramondre here, maybe you could have had Tua, Bryce Young, maybe a round earlier, something like that. I don't think Geno and Rodgers. I don't think you're going to have enough juice at the QB spot. We need one more guy, I think, here. But I do like this start here. I might actually swap out Travis Hunter. If you took out Travis Hunter and you put in May, or you lock in that Dak Lamb stack, I think that would have been the move for me. You put Dak here, and then you just completely fade QB2 down to Geno and Rodgers. I think that would have been cooking there. But I do have to get out of here soon, guys. So I'm just going to try and answer everybody's questions real quick. Yeah, they're going to continue to smile and grit their teeth and say, he's fine. It's only an epidural, but it's starting to get a little concerning for sure. So I don't know. It's August 6th. We don't have real football yet for another 4 weeks. Let's get some more news. And yeah, I like Ray Davis quite a bit. Yes, to me, I have comfortably moved Tyrone Tracy up as the guy. I think you're going to see the season start with Devin Singletary as the backup, and then you're going to work in Cam Scatterbo throughout the year and see if he can steal away work. But I think it's Tracy's job to lose, essentially. His fumbles were brought up tonight. That could be an issue that could take him off the field. But for now, I think you got to go forward with Tyrone Tracy being a running back 2 flex. And yeah, to me, I think just doing as many drafts as I've done, I think I like waiting for my first QB at the 3rd, 4th round spot. And then honestly, this group, man, all the way down to like Penix, from Caleb to Penix, just grabbing a QB2 somewhere in that range, just being patient. I think it'll be fine. Who are your favorite late round running backs? If we're talking late, like on this screen and late, I'm going to, I like putting Jalen Warren, Ramondre, Dobbins on my bench. I think Charbonnet is a fine backup here. I think the Dallas Cowboys running backs, Javonte, Jaden Blue are fine. I like Tootin. But if I had to pick my favorite backs to put on the end of my bench, I keep coming back to Dylan Sampson here, who could be the guy for Cleveland. I like Jerome Ford a lot. I think those two guys are going to be useful. I also think maybe Jalen Wright down here. He could be just involved in the base offense, and if anything happens to Achane, we got something there. I don't like Devin Neal. I think Kendre Miller might be the RB2 there for us. But my favorite guys on this list right now, probably Jordan Mason, probably Tank Bigsby, as they're more middle late sleepers, but that's kind of where I'm looking at. Okay, 10th and 11th pick in my draft today, and Neighbors and Collins fell to me. Then I traded Nico and DeAndre Swift for Ibuka and Gibbs. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm totally fine with that. You upgrade Nico to Gibbs, and then I think there's a chance that Ibuka could have more value than DeAndre Swift at some point this year. So I don't hate it. I'm assuming you have other running back depth that you felt good about. I guess you're upgrading Swift to Gibbs, and then Ibuka can be your flex. So I like it. I think you're getting the best player in the deal, and then you're getting a guy with one of the best hidden upsides. I like what the Giants could be this year. But I think the Steelers are going to be good on offense this year. It takes a little bit off McConkey's top end numbers. I think McConkey's still going to be the clear-cut guy to lead the team in targets, receptions, yards, and touchdowns. Keenan still has to stay healthy, but I think they purely brought in Keenan Allen to be, one, just a veteran presence in a very young receiver room. It's a trusted target of Justin Herbert, and he's going to help the development of your Trey Harris, of your QJ, of Keandre. I think he's kind of just like a glue guy that's going to rotate in. I don't think he's going to get starting snaps or anything like that. So it's not going to hurt Ladd Conkey too much. If anything, it takes away Ladd from being a top 5 potential wide receiver to just a top 10, top 12 wide receiver. So it's a little bit off the top of him. And I tend to agree. Balance is what I like to maintain. Yeah, that's the problem. I think the wide receiver cutoff this year is probably Jackson Smith and Najigba. You could poke holes in Marvin, Garrett Wilson, all these other guys after that. I do like to try and get 1 or 2 of these top guys, but sometimes it just doesn't break out that way. I think I did okay here because I'm only starting a couple of these guys, but Metcalf, Waddle, Ibuka, Golden, come back with Douglas and Dobbs. I think I'll be okay, and I'll find 2 guys there. But anyways, I do got to get out of here. Thank you for hanging out. We had a lot of people in here tonight, so I appreciate you guys hanging out, asking questions. I will be back next Wednesday night, same time, 7 p.m. Central Time. We'll do the same thing. We'll do an ESPN mock. We'll do a sleeper mock, and we'll have fun, and we'll keep doing these on Wednesday night. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. We'll see you soon. Peace.